Rain hammered against the roof of the old windmill, while Penelope sat near the fire, sewing the same torn sleeve for the third time. "Don't sit so close to the flames," her father muttered. "We barely have enough wood left." Penelope quietly moved back. The room smelled of wet wheat and smoke. Water dripped from the ceiling into a rusty bucket. Their home had once been warm and cheerful, but years of bad harvests had turned it cold and tired. Her father walked back and forth nervously. "You should smile more," he suddenly said. "People like cheerful girls." Penelope looked up in confusion. "Why?" "Because tomorrow the ruler is coming through the village and important people notice beautiful things." Penelope lowered her eyes. Outside, thunder growled across the hills. The next afternoon, the entire village gathered near the road as black royal carriages rolled through the mud. Soldiers on horseback surrounded them like dark shadows. Then the grand carriage stopped. The ruler stepped out wearing a long velvet coat stitched with silver thread. Rings glittered on nearly every finger. His eyes scanned everything around him. Not people, not children, not hungry farmers, only valuables, only wealth. Penelope's father quickly pushed through the crowd. "My lord," he shouted with a crooked smile. "My daughter possesses a rare gift," he announced proudly. "She can turn dried field grass into pure golden thread." The crowd gasped. Penelope's blood ran cold. The ruler slowly turned toward her. "Is that true?" he asked calmly. Penelope opened her mouth, but her father answered first. "She is shy, my lord." The ruler smiled slightly. That smile frightened her more than anger would have. "Bring her to the palace tonight." The carriage doors closed again. The royal convoy disappeared down the road, and silence fell over the village. Penelope slowly turned toward her father. "What have you done?" He grabbed her shoulders desperately. "This is my only chance of living a wealthy life, and you want to take it away from me. Penelope, you need to do it, please. You have to gain his trust." Penelope lost all hope in a second. Not only that, but she also lost her father that night. That night, palace guards escorted Penelope through enormous iron gates. The royal palace stood high above the city like a giant watching over prey. Candles burned everywhere, yet the halls felt dark, cold and empty. The ruler himself led her down a narrow staircase beneath the palace. Then he opened a giant wooden door. Penelope's breath caught. The chamber was overflowing with dry stalks from harvested fields, mountains of it. In the center sat an old spinning machine. "You have time until dawn," the ruler said quietly. Penelope stepped backward. "Your Majesty, I might not be able to do it." His expression did not change. "When the sun rises, this room will either contain golden thread, or you are never going to see the sunlight again." The door slammed shut. Penelope felt helpless. Fear wrapped around her chest tighter and tighter until breathing itself became painful. She started crying loudly. Then suddenly, tiny footsteps echoed through the room. Penelope looked up sharply. A strange little figure stood in the shadows. His coat looked as if it were stitched from pieces of old curtains. His boots were uneven. One eye seemed brighter than the other. His nose was sharp and longer. But the strangest thing about him was that he looked amused. "Well," he said lightly, "you sound miserable." Penelope quickly stood. "Who are you?" "Someone who loves mischief." "How did you get in here?" "I asked first." He tilted his head. "So why are you crying as the world ended?" Penelope wiped his nose with anger. "I do not know about the world, but my life might have already ended." She explained everything. The tiny man listened carefully, though a strange smile remained on his face the entire time. When she finished, he walked slowly around the room. He murmured, "A difficult problem, you think?" "Oh, definitely," he grinned. "Good thing I enjoy difficult things." Penelope stared at him. "You can help me." "I do not help people. I give favors for things I want. You know, kindness rarely survives without payment." Her hope faded again. "I don't own anything valuable." The little man pointed toward the silver chain around her neck. "That." Penelope touched it instinctively. It had belonged to her mother. She hesitated first, but it was the only way to get her freedom back, so she gave her necklace to the strange man. The little man caught it gently. Then he walked to the spinning machine. What happened next did not feel real. The machine began humming loudly beneath his fingers. Dry stalks twisted and shimmered. Golden thread poured across the floor like flowing sunlight. Penelope watched in stunned silence. By morning, every pile had vanished. The ruler returned. For the first time, true excitement appeared on his face. He touched the glowing thread almost lovingly. "Incredible," he whispered. Then he smiled at Penelope, and somehow she understood that it's not the end of her miseries. The next thing the ruler did was to take her to another chamber. It was twice as large. "This room before sunrise," he ordered. When he left, Penelope buried her face in her hands and started crying again. "He'll never stop," she whispered. The day fell into night, and the tiny man appeared again. Penelope looks at him and murmurs, "I have nothing left except this ring." "That will do." Again, the impossible happened. Again, dawn revealed mountains of glittering thread. The ruler's hunger only grew worse. On the third night, he brought her into the largest chamber yet. "If you succeed again," he said softly, "you will sit beside me on the throne as my queen." Penelope's stomach twisted, but she had nothing left now, she thought. After he left, the tiny man appeared more slowly this time. "You have no jewelry left," he noted. "No." "Then offer something else." "I own nothing else." The little man became quiet. Then he spoke carefully. "One day, if you have a child, you will give that child to me." Penelope stared at him in horror. "What kind of request is that?" "One made by someone who understands loneliness." His voice had changed, for the first time. She noticed sadness hid beneath it. Penelope looked at him carefully. Who was this strange creature? "I agree," she whispered. The little man closed his eyes briefly, smiling strangely. Then he began his work once more. By sunrise, the room blazed like captured sunlight. Within weeks, Penelope became queen, but palace life was nothing like stories. The ruler was obsessed with riches. New taxes crushed poor families. Farmers lost homes. Children begged outside palace gates while treasure rooms overflowed underground. Penelope secretly sent bread, blankets, and medicine to villages at night. Years later, she gave birth to a daughter named Annabeth. And for the first time in years, Penelope felt truly happy, until one stormy evening, a familiar voice echoed through her room. "She looks just like you." Penelope spun around. The tiny man stood near the window. Her heart stopped. "You made an agreement," the strange man said. Penelope clutched her daughter protectively. "Please," she begged, "take jewels, take silver, take anything. I do not care about such things." "Then why her?" The tiny man looked toward the rain outside. "Long ago, before I became like this, I had a family too." Penelope stayed silent. "A sickness spread through my village. My wife died first, then my son." His voice cracked slightly. "I searched everywhere for help. No one cared because poor people are easy to ignore." Pain darkened his face. "So I searched for forbidden magic instead." "And it cursed you," Penelope whispered. "It gave me power," he corrected softly. Then he looked at Annabeth again. "I think loving a child and having a sense of family can break this curse." Penelope's eyes filled with tears. "You cannot heal pain by stealing love from someone else." The tiny man looked away. Finally, he sighed. He looked angry. "I am giving you a chance. 3 days," he said quietly. "If you discover my true name before then, I will disappear forever." For 2 long days, Penelope searched desperately. She thought of every name she had ever heard in her life. She asked servants, travelers, old villagers, and merchants passing through the kingdom, but none of the names matched his real one. Still, she refused to give up. She made an announcement across the village. Anyone who could reveal the true name of the strange, magical man would be rewarded with jewels, diamonds, and gold. On the 3rd night, an old servant rushed into the castle breathlessly. "My queen, I heard something strange in the northern forest." A tiny man was dancing around a fire, and kept singing the same words over and over. What words? The servant repeated the words. Round and round the fire I spin. Nobody knows where I have been. Soon the queen will cry and sigh. Yet no one knows my name nearby. Rumpelstiltskin, that is me, hidden like a shadow in the trees. That night, the tiny man returned. His strange smile had returned, too. It is your last chance, Penelope pretended to think. Edric. No. Bastian. No. Then she looked directly into his eyes. Rumpelstiltskin. The smile vanished instantly. The room turned still. Oh, I know the devils told you my name. He got angry as if he had lost something, but Penelope told him something that changed everything. You were right, Penelope said softly. Loneliness changes people. Rumpelstiltskin stopped suddenly and looked at her. And kindness changes them too. She then places her child in his hands. The moment he touches the child, something changes. A strange light surrounds him. The twisted shape of his body slowly straightened. For one brief moment, he looked completely human again. Tears filled his eyes. You gave me something that no one ever did. You gave me kindness. Then the light grew brighter. The room was filled with soft golden light, brighter than any treasure in the king's vaults, and he slowly disappeared. But before vanishing completely, he smiled. Thank you, Queen Penelope. Thank you for your kindness. And then he leaves the child in Penelope's arms and disappears. Because sometimes, even a little gesture of kindness can make someone's life brighter. The greedy king never understood why his gold stopped bringing him happiness. He died early. But Queen Penelope ruled the kingdom with kindness and compassion. She opened the palace to the poor and helped rebuild struggling villages across the kingdom. And though no one ever saw Rumpelstiltskin again, some people say that deep in the forest on quiet winter nights, a warm light still glows among the trees, not with greed or magic, but with peace at last.